Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. Chad Hyams here with Bob Stewart over there. Bob, how are you today?
I'm apprehensive, Chad. I'll be quite You know why?
Right out of the gate, you just blew the whole podcast. All right. Tell the audience why you're apprehensive, Bob.
Well, we sometimes we talk about this all the time, but sometimes we show up, we've got like a slide deck, and we know almost everything we're going to talk about. Sometimes we have an interview and you have a bunch of questions, and then I go stalk them on Facebook and find something fun to talk about. And then sometimes, like today, we just show up and I don't know anything more than what the title of this thing is. And you told me to go grab a pen and a pencil. And so I'm apprehensive. Like, I want to know what we're doing. I'm scared. I don't know that I'm going to have like the brain power to deliver what you're looking for.
Bob, I don't either. I don't know you'll have the brain power to deliver either what I'm looking for. Yet here's the thing, Bob, we're in a situation where I didn't want you to be able to prepare for today's episode because our audience doesn't get to prepare for the episodes.
Okay.
Right? They just put themselves in a position to say, okay, I'm going to listen, and whatever you guys are going to talk to, I'm going to hopefully take, and I'm going to learn something from, and I'm going to experience something. And this is one that I want our audience to play along at home.
Okay.
Right? So if you're listening to this one in the car, or if you're listening to this one mid-workout, you might want to go back and listen to it again later. You might hit pause and say, hey, let me go listen to an old episode, and then I'll come back to this one in the future, when I'm sitting at my desk. It might not be a long episode, yet it's going to be one that I think is an important episode because, Bob, you and I both believe in growth. We both believe that that's important. That's why we do Win, Make, Give and bring the content to everybody. Yet I believe a key piece of it is we have to evaluate ourselves on a regular basis. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. And when was the last time?
Now I'm even more scared.
When was the last time you evaluated yourself in your life, in growth, in your relation, in anything? When was the last time you truly, and I don't mean going and sitting down having a conversation with your therapist, but when was the last time you took a step out, step back, and evaluated where you are today?
Probably like 2.5 years ago. It would have been right around the time that my wife and I started like deciding we wanted to try to find this lake house. Like we took like pretty good stock in things. So I don't know, 3 years ago maybe, but I don't even know like that based on what you want to do here today or what that exercise looks like. I don't know how deep that evaluation went.
Sure. And I know you did it during the Wealth series, and audience, if you went along, you evaluated a part of your world during the Wealth series,
Sure.
right? Because we had to look at our finances and pay attention to all of that. Yet I was at Bill Tao. You were at Bill Tao. I was at Bill Tao. I have no idea how long ago that was now based on when Dave decides to drop this episode. Yet I was sitting with a good friend of ours, Drew Lee. Okay. And we were sitting beside each other, and Drew gave me this exercise that he got from like a running coach that he's been working with. He was telling me this. She was helping him on some stuff. And Drew, if you're listening to this, you need to get out running, right? You've got like multiple marathons this year. So stop just sitting there and get running, my friend. And you've probably already finished London. Congratulations on that one. Here's the thing, Bob. This was a simple exercise that took almost no time. Yet, boy, was it revealing when it came down to it. So, Bob, I want you to write 4 words down on the piece of paper for me. Okay. Like you're making a list with these 4 words. The first word is work.
Okay.
Okay. So, audience, follow along. I'm putting Bob through this. He really has no idea what's coming. Write the word work.
Yep.
Second word under that, I want you to write the word health.
Okay.
Okay. Third word, I want you to write relationship. And that's a plural. So that's not just you and your wife. That's you and me. That's you and Ben. That's you and your kids. That's you and your mom. That's relationships that you have.
Okay.
And then the fourth word is recovery. Okay. So everybody should have work, health, relationships, recovery. In Achieve Your Apex, Bob, I talk about life, the 4 areas of life, right? I call it your love life, which is your relationships. I say self-improvement. We're replacing that with recovery here. I say fitness, which is health. And then I say economic, which is money, right? So we've changed, which we're calling work in this situation. But you've got work, health, relationships, recovery. I want you to take 10 points, Bob. 10 points. You have to spend them all, and you can't spend more. Divide it up over the 4. Give yourself a rating: work, health, relationships, and recovery. You only get 10 points.
So you're saying that if, in theory, if I gave 2.5 to each, that would spend all the points.
That would spend all your points.
That would be me saying that I spend an equal amount of time focused on each of those things, or
Sure.
Is that the idea?
Yep, basically. No halves. Got to be whole numbers. Right? Audience, do the same thing that Bob's doing right now. He's taking a minute, so I'll talk while I can see Bob. I can see the smoke coming out of the ears, right? I see the eyebrows curling in as he's thinking. Give yourself a minute, even if you need to pause this and say, Chad, stop talking, I'm thinking, right? And sit there and give yourself a score, 1 through 10. You got to use all the points. You don't get extra in each category. Now, when I did this, I think I put health was a 4. I think that's what I put for myself. I don't have it in front of me anymore. I put my relationships were at a 3, right? Which already took 7 of my points. I put recovery at 1 and work at 2. And that's how I spent my 10 points. And boy, was it revealing. Bob, how did you spend yours as you're kind of sitting there attempting? You might not be perfect yet, but how have you got them spent?
This is really hard.
Yes.
I put a 0 on health, if I'm being completely honest with myself.
Sure.
So then I'm looking at like work and relationships, and honestly, if I didn't like the people that I worked with, I'd probably have work higher than relationships. But because I have a lot of relationships inside of my work, and I don't know if that's, but they're friends, and so I put work at a 4, relationships at a 5. And recovery out of 1. And I know we joke, and Chad, I'm actually going on vacation. I'm not going to be here next week to record. We joke about me going on vacation, but that's like the extent of recovery. I don't do much other beyond those. And so, if I wasn't taking those, I'd give that a 0. But so I don't know. I did work 4, health 0, relationships 5, recovery 1.
What's your takeaway from it, Bob?
I probably need to have a more balanced approach to how I recover, and not just kind of go, burn, need a vacation, right? Like that would be, I think that if I probably gave a little bit more attention to health, that I would also potentially, like, that would allow recovery. It would be felt in recovery.
Sure.
I mean, the other thing I wonder, I struggle putting relationships above work because I'm bad at putting my work first in a lot of cases. And so I don't even know that that's honest. Maybe this is like aspirational. I kind of wish I gave a little bit more focus to my relationships than I do to my work. I'm not sure that's actually true. Like, there's potentially those could be flipped and work be a 5 and relationships be a 4. And that's maybe concerning to me, and kind of just makes me realize, like, I don't know. I mean, that's just my gut right there as I sit and look at these numbers.
Yeah, when I did it, some of it came real easy, and it was like, okay, this one's going to be number 1. How many points am I willing to spend on it? Was how I kind of started to look at it. I said, look, you gave it right at the beginning, right? 2.5 to each. So I said, okay, if I give 2 to everything, now let me start going up and down on the other ones around it. My relationships, right? I gave myself, I think it was a 3 at the time, and because my relationships are very small. Right. I have my relationship with my wife, right? Nita is my best friend. The one I want to spend the most time with. We haven't really adopted our community yet since we've moved back to Atlanta. So I haven't created any local friendships. So, I mean, I've got my buddies from high school, and we chat and text all the time. And, I've got you and Ben and some other people that I'll message with. But to me, relationships were low because, well, I just don't have that many of them, is how I rated it, right? My health is obviously my key focus when it comes to it. If I had to come down to health versus work, I'm going to go make sure my health is in gear because I want to live longer, right? And then I'm going to have that work that came in. And recovery, I don't do a very good job of it. I mean, I sleep like a freaking genius, right? I'm the guy, I put my head on the pillow, I'm out, Bob. But I don't recover. Like, I don't take a day off. I just work out lighter on that extra day, and I don't take vacations, and I don't do that. So I was giving myself a very low score. I just interested to see how other people were scoring it from when Drew and I had this conversation. Now, when he said to me, you only get 10 points, I look back at him when he gave me the exercise and I quickly did it. I just said, boom, here's my blink on it. Don't overthink this, folks. I went back to him. He gave me his score. I don't remember what they were. And what I said to him was, okay, what if I gave you 24 points? What if I gave you 24 points and I'm going to give you some more points? Again, can't spend less than 24, have to spend all 24. How would you then score yourself when it comes to it? If what you were taking into account is how many hours do you put to each of those things on a daily basis?
Oh,
right. For you, health probably still sounds like a 0.
Yeah.
Right. Yet now, audience, do it again. Give yourself the 24 hours in a day, 1 point per hour. How many hours do you spend at work? How many hours do you spend on your relationships? How many hours do you spend recovering? Right. And if you only sleep 6 hours, don't score yourself a 10. Unless you're taking 4 hours of recovering before you even go to bed. And it might be easy to start with recovery and say, okay, how many hours am I just recovering from the day? Or am I the person who works myself into sleep? Right? Bob, how does that tweak it for you as I'm putting you on the spot? You're still doing the math.
Yeah.
But how does that start to change your thinking?
I don't know. Recovery is a hard one. It's like, I don't know that I maybe take an hour after the kids go to bed. So like relationships would maybe be a 5. It was probably 5 hours of kind of spending time with my boys in the morning or in the afternoon with my wife. Work is probably a 10. That would leave 15, maybe 7 for recovery. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 8 for recovery because I'm like a 6 to 7 hour a night sleeper, and then I'll spend an hour. Well, that is 23. Oh, okay. I don't know. It'd maybe be a 10, 0, 6, 8.
Okay. And then what's your takeaway from that?
I need to work on my health.
Right. I mean, an audience, it's a
same takeaway, Chad.
It's a simple yet challenging exercise that will have you do some self-realization, right? My health, I work out for an hour every day, basically, right? Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes a little less. But I'm not going to score myself just a 1 for health because, well, every meal is about health for me, right? I'm doing research on my health through the day to make sure I'm eating well or I'm prepping the good foods or whatever it is and stuff like that. So health is going to get more than just that 1 hour. And it needs more than that 1 hour to actually have the impact. But looking at you, looking at somebody who's not me, health is not your number. How can you find just that 1 for health where you can commit to 30 minutes of some healthy activity twice a day? All of a sudden, what might that end up doing for you? And all you need to do now is find 1 point. Where can you take it from? Right.
I don't even know where I got this. Maybe it was like Joe DeSena. I follow him on Instagram or whatever. But I know that every day I delay improving my health is going to be this reckoning down the road, right? And DeSena said something it's either hard now or hard later. It's hard now or harder later or whatever. And thanks for having this episode, Chad. I feel like you really pointed this episode at me today, and it's really been impactful.
Well, that's good, Bob, right? Because that was really, Ben called me and said, Chad, we need to fix Bob. Can you do an episode where you fix Bob, right? No, not what happened. You're right. Joe posts a lot of stuff. Folks, if you want a health direct line being kicked at you, go follow Joe DeSena, the founder of Spartan, who we got to interview early in season 1. Go follow him on Instagram because he's posting multiple times a day. And he's saying what you're saying, Bob. And you're going to pay for health. You're either going to pay now or you're going to pay later, and it's going to cost a lot more if you let interest build up on it, right? I was working out this morning, and Tony Horton was the coach I was working out with this morning on my tonal at home. And Tony said that he's 62 years old and was saying that people always ask him his age, and they don't believe him when he says he's 62. And he says that's because health will truly slow down aging, right? You want to look younger, feel younger, and still be younger, right? The whole, as we were growing up, the 40 is the new, whatever it is, or 50 is the new 40, and now 60 is the new 40. We all want to push it as we get older as to what we're going to say it is, right? Well, 78 is the new 40, right? When it comes to, yet if you're healthy, you actually will still have the feelings that you had, yet you get the experience with it.
Right now, all I got is the experience.
You got a lot of that, right? The experience of what not to do. I always, if I could go back in time and we did an episode on that, right? Where Ben had us say, what would you tell your younger self other than buy Apple stock or Amazon stock when it came out? To me, if I could go back, I would be healthy when I was a teenager and I would never have lost it. Right? That's the opportunity, folks. And here's the thing. We're not taking enough time to evaluate what we do and who we truly are. We point the finger at other people happily and say, hey, you need some help here. Hey, you're in this situation. We don't look in the mirror often enough and say, let me evaluate myself. And if we do our best to say, wow, I do this really well. And I do that really well. And I do this really well. Yet when we do an exercise like this, where we have the 10 points or the 24 hours, now we truly look at it and say, ooh, right? It's going to hit me right between the eyes. It's going to be that thing that slaps me across the face and says, I can't hide from the answer when it comes to this. Because look, when you did it the first time, Bob, and only had 10 points, even if you wanted to give everything equal, like you said, you're only 2.5 out of 10. How does that make you feel to say, well, I'm only going to give myself a 2.5 out of what could have possibly been a 10 because I'm trying to make it equal between all of them?
Right? It's fascinating little exercise. Drew Lee.
Right? Do this once a month. Do this once a quarter. Heck, do it once a year. It's still better than the amount of time we've been doing it. We're not evaluating ourselves.
Love this, Chad. Quick hitter today, huh? In and out?
That's it. In and out. I just wanted to give everybody this quick exercise. I wanted to give everybody something they were moving forward with. I wanted to make this happen for you, audience. I want you to come into the Facebook group and I want you to tell us where you spent your points. We'll make the post. I want you to tell us where you spent your points if you truly did this. And I want you to then go find someone that can help you earn more points. Right? The only way you're going to go get someone who's going to kick you in the pants. Go get someone who's going to walk alongside you. Go get someone who's going to help you and cares enough about you to get you more points so that you can raise your score in every one of those areas for the next time you listen to an episode just like this. Bob, thanks for being willing to just say, I don't know what you're doing, Chad, but I'll play along. Right? Audience, we appreciate you do that each and every week. Stick with us. And until our next episode, as always, do good.